Good morning. How is everybody today? Alive, excited, full of energy. Look, I always say there's something magical about the fourth quarter because it is literally the time that most people check out. Like once you see Halloween happen, people start eating candies, and a few weeks later, there's Thanksgiving, then the holiday parties happen. And all of a sudden, you can hear me saying this all the time. January 1st comes, and all of a sudden, we think this magical thing is going to happen, like it's a Disney movie. That all of a sudden, like this, you're just going to snap your fingers and you're going to be motivated. You're going to want to go to the gym. Everything in your business is going to be great. Best shape of my life, most productive year ever. It's all bullshit because that all starts today. So I find the fourth quarter makes years. So if you want to have a kick-ass 2025, who wants to have a kick-ass 2025? Everybody raise your hand. Start now. I'm telling you this. I've been working with all these different teams. I've been talking a lot to the people at Compass, and no one wants to practice talking to people. Only you, right? And you can see that even in our main sessions, there's double or triple the attendance, which means if everyone else is not doing something and you're doing it, what does that give you? A competitive advantage. So here's just a quick exercise I want you to do today. I did this with my family over the weekend, and I do it every year, and I encourage you all to too. Sit down and calendar all your days off. Plan your trips, plan your vacations, plan your days off. And when you're off, you're off. And when you work, work your ass off. Focus, right? Use the Pomodoro clock, 25 minutes at a time, 25 on, 25, 5 minutes off, focus on one task at a time. I can give you the greatest things in the world to do, but if you can't get yourself to be focused and productive, you're going to be going on this hamster wheel like the 1.8 other million realtors in the world. Does that make sense, everybody? So this is the time to clean up your diet, start going to the gym. You know, dieting is 80-20, 20% of the time. If you do the 80% right, you can enjoy yourself. So if you know Thanksgiving, you're someone like me that wants to eat every different food under the sun. Like I look at Thanksgiving as a day of like, let me pick all my favorite foods and eat them all one day to the place I don't want to eat anymore. Right. But I know that like the couple weeks before that, I have to be smart because I'm going to have a massive calorie intake. You know, your work expands or contracts the time allotted. Right. If you give a project 3 weeks, it'll drag on 3 weeks. If you give it a week, all of a sudden your brain is programmed to get it done in a week. All right. So does anyone have any situations or scenarios that they'd like to cover? Roger.
Yeah, Chirag, I have been working at my ass off at open houses, engaging people and trying to have conversations. I use the Med C. It's going well, but I still haven't got appointments. I did two open houses this weekend. I talked to 9 groups. Most of them were unrepresented buyers, just starting out. Um, so I engaged them, I asked the questions, and they responded. It was great conversation. But at the end of the day, I don't have any new appointments. Now I'm going to do a follow-up email, but I was wondering, what can I
What's
do?
your what's your closing line? Right. So I have this whole
Okay,
conversation. I
okay,
open up to you. I'm comfortable. Roger's great.
right.
He really cares. What do you like? What do you say to move the ball to the next phase?
Would you be interested in an appointment this week?
Okay, ready?
Yep.
That you need to
Mm,
take what they said and tie your appointment to them getting what they want. Right.
okay.
So
Mm,
that's the gap. Now, if you came to an open house, I'll walk you guys through this. If you have time to do this, here's another
mm.
open house way of doing it. Hey, Roger, thanks for coming to 123 Main Street. Shrug, nice to meet you. I'd say, hey, Shrug, nice to meet you. Welcome to 123 Main Street. Your name is?
Roger.
Oh, Roger that. So I would say, hey, I'm sure I imagine it's a weekend and you're busy. So what specifically about this house made you want to take the time out of your day to come by?
Um, it's in a great neighborhood, great schools. There aren't many properties that come to market. So I was interested in this property specifically.
Got it. And when you think about a home, I know it means something, a home means something different to everybody. What rooms are most important to you in the house or spaces?
I really haven't thought about that, Chirag. I think the living room is probably important because it's going to be where I'm going to be doing the most entertainment for our
And
family to get together.
entertainment family get-togethers. That's interesting. So, Roger, if we were able to fast forward 12 months from now, the reason I ask this, I think it's really important for anyone to understand like what type of experience you're having when it's entertaining. Where are the people? What's the flow? Like everyone has a vision in their head of when they're making this kind of transition in their life. What does that look like for you?
That's a great question. I think, I think I like the idea of our family congregating in the open space, open floor plan, the kitchen, living room, just having a good time together. Yeah.
So I'd say so if I envision this together, right? Are you guys big outdoor people, grillers? Are you guys are inside entertainers? What type of entertainers are you?
There's not a lot of space outside, but I think we go back and forth between indoor, outdoor, depending on the season.
Does anyone taking the time to share with you and really explain to you how functional flow in houses work?
No, sure. Can you do that?
Yeah, that'd be great. So when we talk about functional flows, everyone has a vision, and we always find that in the 10 plus years of experience that we've had, people can focus on a room, an update, a location, but functional flow, Roger, really takes that next deep dive in understanding how spaces fit into the way that you live. So from the way that you as a family get ready in the morning to the way that you eat your dinners to the way that your evenings are down to those big holidays and the entertainment things that, which sounds like one of the main reasons you really want a new space to really understand what that is so we have more context when we're looking at properties as opposed to just bedrooms, bathrooms, open floor plans. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
yeah, it does. Yeah.
All right, does anyone see what I just did here?
Yeah.
What did I do?
You turn the conversation around to, what's the experience that you want to live in this home? And it's about really about the client and thinking through not bedrooms and bathrooms, but thinking about what kind of experience they want to have in the house and how are they going to have that.
Yep. Jessica? Jesse, sorry. We have I saw you were ready to say something.
Yeah, you just showed you cared and added value by listening too. Sometimes you just need to listen and then repeat what they're saying. And really engaged.
You don't need to say anything, really.
Yeah. Just
You're a guide, you're a facilitator. Now, one of the other things in sales that's actually called future pacing, right? So in future pacing, I'm getting him to envision this future of a home and everything else. Now, do any of you currently do this today in open houses? Not in this exact format. God.
sometimes I feel rushed with them, and how do you slow the pace down?
Well, it all this is do you ever play sports?
I was a dancer, but yeah,
Okay.
I play tennis. I play tennis.
Okay, but tennis, right? Like you have to go at game speed, and the game speed's different depending if you're playing individually or if you're playing with people, what your opponents are like, right? So a lot of this comes from like repetition and judgment, right? You can tell by people's physiology, which is their body language, what they can do, what they won't do, how reluctant they are. And look, if you see somebody that's like that, be like, look, I'm just trying to be helpful. And if you feel, Roger, that you just literally came here and took the time out of your day just to look around, and that's to the extent you want to be served, I completely respect that. Walk around the house. If there's something I can help you with, please let me know. All right. So I saw Donna had their hand up and then John.
So I'll say what I thought. You controlled the conversation. So you kept on questioning him as opposed to him questioning you in that prior example.
Donna, we can't hear you. That's okay. Yeah, look, now I could lead into the med C in this conversation, right? And look, you're not necessarily always going to have time to do this with people. It's a very logical fact, right? If there's 9 people, it depends on spacing and time, but you can always generally tell with some of those people, like, oh, this is the guy, or this is the family, or she looks like she wants to have a conversation. Rob?
Forgive me, I'm driving, but I'm paying attention. But listening to, you might hear the rain pelting on my car too. But you're 100% right. It's like it's like playing sports. You got to judge the body English, especially if it's a busy open house. And lately, I've been hitting with many of the questions that you brought up in that example there. But my tie down has been my tie down, which has worked very well because I've had 5 fire consults in the last 3 weeks. All right, is I don't ask if they're working with an agent because I think that sounds more that it's for my interest as opposed to them. I've changed the phraseology to, has anybody taken the time to sit down with you and discuss how the market is working today? And it's been a game changer. It just makes them stop and say, you know what? No one's even ever asked that question. When did we do that? And it's worked incredibly.
Yep. Those are my favorite words. Has anyone taken the time? You know, it works so well. Has anyone taken the time to share with you the home buying process? Right. So
I think it makes it sound it's about them. It's not about you. That's just my opinion.
yeah. Look, there has to, you know, the old saying, "With them, what's in it for me?" That's all they want to know. Just remember, has anyone moved within the last year? Anybody? Okay. And appreciate you for being up. It's by the way, it's 6:45 in the morning in California. Like, you talk about what motivates me, it's all of you. All right, and so when you were moving, what were you thinking about?
That it's a pain in the butt
Okay.
and it's just a lot of work.
What else, dude? Like, in terms of when you were looking for properties, there was a pain in the butt. It's a lot of work. I'm gonna go into your brain. It's inconvenient, how much it's gonna disrupt your life, right? And then what else were you focused on?
Location, price, size of the house. I downsized, so
This is a big
It was-
move.
yeah. I'm an
So-
empty nester.
And the quality of life that's gonna come with that after.
Mhm.
So please tell me if that's what she's worried about, and I just showed up and I can do this and I can do this and I can do this and this and this and this and this. You want to meet with me and talk to me and have an appointment? You like, for what, right? I always have a lot of respect for Roger because he's here religiously and he'll learn it, he'll do it, he'll learn it, he'll do it, and then he'll come back and be like, well, I did it and this is what happened. So this is like, literally, it's like you could be a poster child for incremental growth, right? So if you start thinking about what it's like to move, moving sucks. And we're so focused on buyer representation agreements. If I hear another like coach or a person say that we have to show our value, like I wish I could debate these people in a public forum because it's stupid. Showing your value is about you. Creating value for another person is about them. So if you're focused on signed agreements, showing value, how present really are you to another person's need? How many people are married or in a relationship here? How many people have been in a long-term relationship before? About everybody, right? So if someone is just trying to show you how valuable they are and not really understanding who you are and what your unique needs are, like, how does that really play out in real life? And they're just trying to get something from you. It doesn't work. So this whole fundamental sales process is broken. If you look at everything we talk about, the word experience is, my new executive assistant Laura is watching a bunch of our videos as she's diving in and learning, and some of you have interacted with her in support tickets, and she goes, you really care about the experience. I'm like, yeah, both in what we have here and with clients. So I've been doing real estate. I got my license in 2006. Right. And I had worked at a new construction development. I quit my job as a financial consultant. So there went my salary, my health benefits, and I don't know, back then they gave pensions, right? And I was sitting there and this was the only way that I could find business. I was 23 years old. So none of my friends were going to buy a house because what the hell did I know, right? So the only way I could do it was meeting new people. I would still joke around. I think I've done more open houses in my life than anyone I've ever met. Because I would sit there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, because I had nothing else to do. And in going through the house, I can just think about this. And in all these years of coaching, and no one ever asked people, like, what are the most important rooms and what type of experience you're looking to have there? Tell me a little bit more about that. Hey, has anyone taken the time to share with you what functional flow is? Like, no, what's that? But like, Roger, I want to know what your mornings are like, what your afternoons are like on the days you're here, and what your evenings are like, both on working days and non-working days. And then when you have free time, what's the lifestyle you want in the community? Because a home should check those boxes. So if you do choose to work with me, you have a basic idea of kind of the filter and what we're working on. Because the most important thing is that you get the experiences that you're looking for. And sadly, what we find is that when you just look at bedrooms, bathrooms, and updates, it seems like a really good idea. But then when you get in the house, there are a lot of disappointments because you didn't actually think about it. You just looked at the aesthetic, not the experience. Do you know where I learned all this from? Does anyone want to know? When I went and looked at houses a year ago, I realized, my partner and I realized on a day-to-day basis, the way that we live and the things that we really value and how we use space, none of the houses have it. Like none. You're looking at these crazy expensive houses that literally we would have to like turn a room into a closet to fit our stuff into. You're looking at these master bathrooms where the space that we have, ours, we joke around like the bathroom could be another office. So you start thinking about this, you're like, wait a second, how come no one ever asked that question? As an agent, I used to ask people, do you mind if I come by your home and actually see how you live? Because certain things, like you can tell somebody, if you meet somebody that's into fashion, can you tell that they're into fashion? Yes or no? You get that exclusive sign, like, look, I could tell by the 3 times, Sharon, that we went out, that you really value clothes. I admire your shoe collection. You have a different bag. So I'd imagine you probably have a fair amount of stuff. And she's like, yeah, I do. I'm like, this sounds crazy, but would it be okay if I have an idea of how you're living now and how you want the next space to be? So when I'm previewing or looking at properties, I can make sure to check those boxes. This is adding value. So there's no one way to skin a cat. There's actually a lot of different ways to do it. But it comes down to how well do you know your client? And the more they feel like you know them and you care about them, the easier the sales resistance will be. So if somebody's a person, Roger, that can make a buying decision and they don't buy, it means the value isn't compelling. Mm-hmm. So if you did the med C, I would say, hey, I know this is motivating you right now. And, these are your expectations. So would it be okay if we sat down for 15, 20 minutes? I could really help you understand then take the time to share with the home buying process and explain to you what the market is. And be like, yeah, that'd be great. And no, I don't really want to do that. Okay, great. So if I understand you correctly, Roger, you're just in the information gathering process? Yes, I'm just in the information gathering process. Great. So what would be most helpful for you right now? And that's how we just slowly start to build.
Right. Can I follow up with an email and something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Say in listening, dear Shrug, it was great meeting you at blank, 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 blank. Really, in listening to what you said, you had shared blank, 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 would love to help you blank, 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 blank. And just want to just want to thank you for being so open and sharing so much. That is not something you had to do. And I appreciate the trust that you've already put in me, Roger.
Thank you.
You got it. Anyone else? Do you see how much more productive these conversations are when somebody brings in actual challenges? Everyone's like, oh, that happens for me. That happens for me. Anybody else have a challenge they want to share? Sean.
Hey, while we're on this topic, so when we meet someone at an open house, we try to have those good, productive conversations, and then we go into an action plan of follow-up. And I'm wondering if there's anything in particular that we could add to our action plan, or
Sure.
things that you think are good for people who are maybe holding you off a little bit. Obviously, if someone's like, yeah, let's have that conversation, it's easy. But if someone's holding you off, but you still think that you still want to work with them, whatever, we have some things that we said now. I'm curious to know what you think
How are they
is valuable or
converting?
not. Pretty well. Pretty well. We're in New York City, so especially for co-ops, people have a lot of questions. So one of the things I send them is like the frequently asked questions on co-ops. I think I start with a buyer's guide, then a collection, then co-ops, and then I call them. And by the time I call them, they at least know that I'm serious.
Well, so the first thing is don't set up collections for people that don't sign your agreements, right? There's be a difference between.
No,
I wouldn't, because think about how many collections you set up in a year that people normally don't ever interact with.
quite a few.
Exactly. So number one, that's a number I'd want to track, right?
Okay.
Because here's the thing. You can't give your collection, your curation of properties, your access to off-market properties. That's part of your value proposition, right? So if I'm just getting that from you, what incentive do I necessarily have to get more, right? So you can lead with information, but look, in the end of the day, if your numbers are converting well, I wouldn't change anything. The only thing I would suggest is have a barrier to entry before they just go in an automation, right? So
Okay.
if you met me and you met Roger and you met Martha and you met Jesse and Oksana and you'd want to know that okay, based on the conversation, like might want to be someone you follow up with directly. Shrug seemed a little passive. Let me put him on a drip campaign.
Got it. Well, I feel like, I don't know if this is true for everyone in New York City, but I feel like we get less bites at the apple too, because most people are coming with someone to ours. So maybe that's also why I feel like when I get someone unaccompanied, I just want to grab them.
Yeah, look, in the end, it's a numbers game. That's all that comes down to, right? So when you say converting well, the question is, what is the percentage, right? There's a saying,
Yeah, I
measure.
don't know that.
Well, that's
I know that it's worked. I've closed deals off of my open house leads, but I don't know to what extent.
okay. So here's some numbers you want to track, right? Number one, you want to write a written definition of what is a real lead.
Uh-huh.
A lead is not just a person whose email address you stick in the database. And I always encourage people, get rid of all these weird people in your database that you don't even know. Right? It's a distraction. Number two, out of those, defining the leads, how many leads do you have? How many touch points do you have? And how many of them, like which ones are you getting like responses to? So you'll see which part in the funnel is converting better. And ultimately, how many leads to getting a buyer consultation, to how many contracts signed, to how many closed. And those metrics will also then tell you, well, here's how many leads we have to get one closing. And it becomes a number.
Okay. I'll have to work on that because I don't measure. I don't know how to measure. I'm sure I can figure it out, but I'm not doing any of that right now. I'm just doing it and hoping for the best.
Well, I just gave you a set of numbers, so you're good to go.
All right, very good.
All right, we have time for one more question.
Shirag, if
Yes,
I
sir.
can, for those people that have been in your database for a while, they're interacting with the collection, but sometimes they're present and you're working with them actively and they disappear, but then you see them coming back. What's a good way to re-engage with them when you see that that activity has increased again, that they're starting to look again?
Send them something personal based on something you know that they want.
Okay.
Right. So it's kind of like, hey, Brian, I remember in our conversation, you blah, 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 blah. You can see what property they looked at, right? There are a couple properties that came up that had X feature, and I just thought of you. Want to just check in. Hope you're doing well. If you're busy, this is what I always find. If you're busy, no need to respond. Just want to get this note off to you. The guilt, and I know you're busy, no need to respond, generally makes people respond. Oh, by the way, I don't know what I want to do is Thanksgiving gratitude videos. Now's the time to start recording them. Greatest ROI you'll ever have in your life. Where is this thing? Thanks. No. Hold on. Here it is. All right, everybody, here you go. Here's something fun for you to all start. Start recording 5 videos a day. Don't go in here, make a copy of this. I'm giving this to you preemptively, but this is the best way to reactivate your database. I have never in my life ever seen a better converting campaign than Thanksgiving gratitude videos. Works all the time. And in the Compass Video Studio, there's this button that says schedule send later. Or send later, they changed the label of it. Well, I don't know. It works incredibly well. All right, anyone have any last minute thoughts? I thought today was very productive today, right? So thank you, Roger. Ian, you did 100 last year? Unmute yourself.
Yeah, I did. I think it was like 96. It was fun, where a lot of times it wasn't, when you're calling people that you haven't spoken with for a long time, sometimes you can be a little stressed or whatever. That I just totally enjoyed, and just throw in a little tidbit of information about each person that's personal, so it's not generic. And I had fun doing it, and I did like the first, I don't know, 15 or 20, and I got responses from like half of them. So I was like, holy shit, I guess I might as well like double down. And yeah, and it was fun. So I figured, why not keep going?
Exactly. It works. Because here's the thing. We always talk about high level strategy here, right? So I'm going to reactivate my database. You have Thanksgiving, you have holidays, you have New Year's, right? This is how you get the momentum going. And it's been a crazy year, right? Like, I don't know about all of you, but people just need like some joy, smiles, and happiness in the world. Like something to smile about, something to laugh about, a way just to disconnect, because I don't know about all of you, but I feel like it's almost like the whole world's on fire. It's like the world's like mad at us with hurricanes and how many people and just human crisis. And I don't want to touch a political conversation with a 5 million foot pole, right? And it's just, it's been hard, for a lot of people. It's a very different world. And They're people facing all kinds of challenges. And as an industry, we've gone through what's like the equivalent of the Industrial Revolution with this whole stupid NAR settlement. I said this to someone the other day. I go, you know, it'd be a really good idea. I go, what's that? I go, every real estate company in the world should file a class action lawsuit for NAR because they're the reason we're in this, not anyone else. The government's still going after clear cooperation and forced compensation. Those are their code of ethics partnered with MLS, not all of yours. Right? So like, try to smile, try to take it easy on yourself, focus on activity over outcome, and really just prioritize yourself. So look, if any of you can come to our live coaching series this month, please feel free to do it. This week, we'll send you information out about next month. We have a Friendsgiving party, which will just literally be just a full day here of just networking, food, good conversations, some light training. And it literally will be going all day and into the evening. And then we'll have an epic holiday party to end the year. So this is the beginning of our initiative for a lot more in-person gatherings. I think all of you will be quite pleasantly surprised for our event calendar next year. But my goal is to physically see every single person in our program next year. Like, that is a goal. So look, as always, love my heart. I love you all. Thank you all for showing up, and a special shout out to my friends on the West Coast who are literally on Zoom calls at 6:30 in the morning, right? That's just the commitment is unbelievable, and something I think we can all draw inspiration from. So when your alarm clock goes off on a Monday at 6 a.m., just realize there's your colleagues on the other side of the coast that are drinking a cup of coffee and getting ready to turn their camera on and be here at 6:30. So, you know, get to know them. They're special people. Share more time with each other. Have great conversations. And I will see you all at 11:30 and come back at 12:30, right? These sessions are literally made for you to talk about anything that you're thinking of that's a challenge in your business. Bye, everybody.